Hey everybody, Wave 3 News Meteorologist Ryan Hoke here with Saturday's edition of the Hokey video blog. Hope this early season heat hasn't melted you yet, because we've got a couple more days of it before we do see a little bit of cooling and a little bit calmer weather from the storms that we're getting ready to have today through Monday. We'll go through those storm chances in detail here for your Mother's Day as well. Hey, check out today's Hokey weather fact though, because we're talking about a study that made the rounds this past week. And it said that pollen in the air may make rain heavier. Well, you say, how does that work? Each of those little pollen particles acts as a nuclei for a raindrop to form around inside of a cloud. It's really interesting because they weren't quite sure if the nuclei, the pollen particles, were small enough to do that, but this study claims that they may very well be small enough. There's still some more analysis that's needed to see if we can prove this, but it's a pretty good theory at this point, at the very least. This study coming from the University of Michigan, and it of course is today's Hokey weather fact. Hey, we've got my storm chase coming up here in about 2 weeks. I'll be leaving on the 23rd here to go out to Oklahoma City to begin my storm chase in the Great Plains. Getting really excited for it here. Of course, hopefully we'll have some storms out there to chase, hoping not to have any of these big outbreaks while we're out there. Those are kind of dangerous, and we like to chase more of the isolated severe storms when we're out there. Of course, my purpose for being out there is being not only a severe weather forecaster, but an educator for some of the storm chasing tour guests that we do have on our tours, and of course to share the experience with you at home to spread awareness about severe weather safety and about what storm chasers do and what we see out there. Love doing it. It'll be my 8th year out there. SkyTrack network of cameras this morning from Kentucky One Health showing a few breaks in these clouds, but it's a pretty good deck of clouds that we have about 10,000 feet above our heads this morning. Temperatures in the 60s across the area, and that band of showers we had earlier developed around 4 o'clock this morning, and then went poof once the sun started coming up. Yeah, we expected that. The short-range models handled that pretty well, but we are seeing a few of these downpours up toward portions of southern Indiana right now, beginning to redevelop. I do think as the sun continues to come up this morning, these will not be a big deal. In fact, we don't have a lot of wind energy to keep these things alive for much longer than just a few radar scans. So if you get some drip drops this morning, don't worry about it. It's not going to be a long-term thing. Now, as we go throughout the afternoon, these clouds may clear somewhat. We'll see some sunshine. That'll be the trigger, or at least the instability. The trigger will be a shortwave trough moving through for some thunderstorms for this afternoon. They'll be of the scattered variety. You ask Ryan, will they be strong to severe? I don't think so. Could they get strong? I mean, in an instance or two, very isolated, but I don't think they'll get severe because we just don't, again, have the wind energy to keep them alive for long enough to do that. Heavy rain, lightning, kind of the threats that we'll be seeing here as we go through time. Something that we are watching, though, of course, is Tropical Storm Anna off the coast of the Carolinas there. I'll switch radar views so you can see some of the returns coming in from that. Has sustained winds at 60 miles per hour, gusts to 70 at this time. Tropical storm watches and warnings along the Carolina coast, so of course monitor that if you have interests out there. Out to our west, we've already got severe weather ongoing across portions of the Texas Panhandle. Oklahoma Panhandle starting to get some of the blow-off from some of these storms. You see the northbound trajectory there of some of this MCS storm activity, some of the rain from it, meaning that the winds are definitely pointed kind of parallel to the forcing there. So as we go throughout the day, we're going to see more severe storms blossom out there. In fact, there's a moderate risk of severe weather. I would think at this point that this area right down here may be excluded from some of this because that eastward propagating MCS I just showed you there on radar, that may disturb some of the atmosphere and not allow it to recover as much. But this area right here in the moderate risk, I do think that could be a big problem for this afternoon, but especially into this evening, maybe just after sunset there, the way things are looking there in southwest Kansas, Garden City, folks out that way. Oakley, Kansas, I think is involved with this as well. I've been chasing out there quite a bit over the last 8 years, so I know the geography a bit. Even folks down here like as far south as Elk City, Oklahoma may have some severe weather to deal with, but even with that storm line coming through this morning, that may not be as big of a deal. Big risks out there, of course, being hail and the potential for some violent tornadoes out there. Hopefully that doesn't happen. We'll have to see. Hopefully we can get this kind of to be a bust for them out there today with some of the morning activity. The models say no on that one, so we're just going to have to see. Here's tomorrow's severe weather outlook. You'll see 2 areas of enhanced risks. One up to the north near the low up here, so you get the additional shear from that. One down here where the instability is a little greater toward Dallas, on toward the Arklatex area, Texarkana, Arkansas out there. We're not in this. In fact, we're just not even in the marginal risk of severe storms. That's basically Evansville and westward. So we're not going to have any severe thunderstorms today or tomorrow. Monday's a different story. I'll talk about that here in just a second with the 7-day forecast. How about the Bats baseball game? Launches off there at 6:05 with the first pitch, 88 degrees. We've got that 40% chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms that we just talked about. It lowers itself a little bit by the 7th inning, but I don't think we'll get rid of it until about 10 o'clock this evening or so. Let's show you how things are panning out on FutureCast. By 9 o'clock this morning, of course, we're already in the 70s, already in the 80s by 1:30. My goodness. Now, this latest data is showing that the storms may not develop until after 2. Before, it was more toward after 1. I think that's the right trend because we've got these showers and some of these, downpours moving through this morning. That'll help to limit the time frame that they'll have to blossom and develop. So the atmosphere is going to take more time to recover from what happened this morning, hence a later development time for the activity this afternoon. You see multiple rounds of these scattered storms develop. They're going to be looking like popcorn on the radar as we go throughout the day. By 8 o'clock, most of it's north of us because we do have a southwesterly wind component pushing all of this northward into southern Indiana. I really do think folks west of I-65 have the best shot at seeing this because what we've got going on east of 65 is not entirely, but at least somewhat, a little bit of settling air thanks to Tropical Storm Ana. That happens on the western side of any cyclone here in the northern hemisphere. You get this settling air, and that's why you get some calmer weather out there. That may act to limit the storm activity somewhat east of 65, but I don't think it's going to be a huge factor. Just something that may take the coverage and intensity a little bit down, just east of Louisville toward the Lexington area. By midnight, this stuff's all gone, and in fact, we may see just a few of these isolated showers, maybe a storm or two, as we go throughout your Sunday morning for Mother's Day. I don't expect that to be a big deal. And really, Mother's Day, as we've been saying for the past few days, may be a fairly dry day, the way things are looking right now. What I was looking at this morning is that the temperatures at 700 millibars, which is roughly about 13,000 feet above our heads, are going to be warming up. In fact, this wind coming in is going to be bringing enough warm air that I think it's going to act as a cap. And this cap is just a layer of warm air that does not allow air parcels from the surface to get up high enough to make a thunderstorm. So if we've got this cap in place, we can limit the storm coverage for your Mother's Day, and the models are beginning to pick up on that better and better. As you'll see, the latest run of the RPM completely dry for Mother's Day now. This is the second time this has happened this morning. We've been through 3 runs of this since sunrise started here at 5 a.m., and now we're seeing the 2 out of 3 runs coming in completely dry. I've looked at some other data, the high-res rapid refresh, and of course the North American mesoscale models, and they're in somewhat agreement with that as well as we go throughout tonight into early tomorrow. So it's going to be interesting to see how that does unfold. At least at this point, I've halved the rain chance from today into Mother's Day. So 40% chance for today, 20% chance for your Sunday. In fact, you'll see that here on the 7-day breakdown. Also want to show you the hour-by-hour breakdown for Mother's Day. Maybe you're taking Mom out to lunch. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? 10 a.m., 76 degrees. Small chance for that isolated shower in the morning. Then those isolated storms in the afternoon. I think we'll make it to 90, especially with that cap in place now. That would limit the potential for those thunderstorms to form. That would keep our temperature from going lower because we wouldn't have rain-cooled air running around here at the surface. So 90 is definitely attainable. Now, here's this severe thunderstorm risk we talked about on Monday, and it's a slight risk across Kentuckiana at this point. 15% slight risk from the Storm Prediction Center. Looks like there's going to be a line of storms that tries to push through. There may be a couple lines at the very least. We'll have to see how this goes as far as timing. Some of the models timing this out to where these storms will be weakening and dying as they're moving through. That's good news there. Other models, not so much. So, 3 days out, roughly, 2.5 days, I should say. It's just too early to pin down the timing and the exact threats from this, but I do think it would be kind of a run-of-the-mill scenario for us. There may be a few supercells involved, though, unfortunately, especially as the line is trying to form. It all depends on the timing, so we will be monitoring that potential as we go throughout the next several days. Then we cut off the heat and humidity Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And really, I think our next storm chance is going to be toward next weekend. And at this point, it doesn't look like anything close to 90 degrees is going to be back in the forecast, at least over the next 7 days. So enjoy the break from the early season heat. And hey, get out there and enjoy some of the better temperatures that we'll have in store as we go throughout Tuesday through Friday there. All right, we'll have another update coming up for you here on Wave 3 News at 11. We don't have a 6 o'clock show today or tomorrow, so tune in at 11 for Andy. And, of course, we'll be updating social media as we go throughout the day. Thanks for watching.